Feeling like nothing's going your way? You hustle, you try, you pray, but prosperity just isn't showing up? Florence Scovel Shinn taught that wealth isn't about luck or grinding without purpose. It's about key principles you need to follow. Today, you'll uncover what's holding you back and how to break through once and for all. Stick around to the end and see why Florence's wisdom still hits home today. Start building your wealth now. Chapter 1. The Cycle of Frustration. Why repeat efforts that never generate new results. Some people spend their whole lives stuck in the same habits, reciting the same prayers, making the same pleas, and still, nothing changes. They think if they just keep doing more of the same, the heavens will magically open up. But Florence Scovel Shinn warns us, prosperity isn't about how much you grind, it's about the quality of your consciousness. What you carry in your mind and heart shapes the harvest you reap. Picture someone slaving away 12 hours a day, yet drowning in debt. The sweat's there, but the purpose isn't. The Bible nails this in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 14, where Solomon says, "I looked at everything done under the sun, and it was all meaningless, like chasing the wind." No matter how much you wear yourself out, if you're planting the wrong seeds, you'll only reap emptiness. Florence put it bluntly, people create mental barriers by repeating negative thoughts, blocking their own prosperity. It's like a scratched record stuck on the same track: complaints, fear, disbelief. If that's the tune playing in your head, no amount of planning will change the scarcity you see around you. Take the Israelites in the desert. For 40 years, they wandered in circles, never reaching the promised land, because they carried a slave mindset. They didn't lack the strength to march, they lacked the faith to break the cycle. Maybe you're in your own desert right now, pouring in effort but never reaching abundance. Florence taught that your mind is a fertile field. Keep planting seeds of doubt, and you'll harvest nothing but frustration. You've got to stop watering barren soil and dare to think differently. Real change doesn't start out there, it starts within. Shift the vibration of your thoughts, and the world around you begins to realign. Here's the practical takeaway. You can't pray for prosperity while speaking words of lack. How often have you said, "I'm so done with being broke," or "everything always goes wrong for me"? Those words are decrees, invisible seeds that shape your reality. Wealth begins when your words align with your faith. Stop and think. How many times have you tried the same things only to land in the same dead-end results? If this hits home, it's time to break the pattern. God didn't call you to spin in circles but to move forward. As Florence said, no door can stay locked against the word of faith. If this is sparking something in you, comment, "I'm ready to break free from the cycle of frustration," and share your story. It's a signal to your mind that you're stepping into a new journey, and you'll inspire others to break free, too. Chapter 2. Florence and the Mind Turnaround. When changing your mind changes your wallet. Ever notice how your wallet follows your mindset? That's why Florence Scovel Shinn hammered home this truth. Your outer world mirrors your inner dialogue. The Bible backs it up. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12 verse 2. It's not magic, it's a spiritual principle. As long as your mind's stuck on lack, your bank account will play along. But when your mind shifts to provision, your finances start finding a new path. Step 1 in turning things around: spot the hidden beliefs steering your money. Maybe you grew up hearing things like, "Money's dirty," "Rich people are crooked," or "It's noble to scrape by, as long as you're honest." Here's the deal: feeling guilty about prosperity builds an invisible ceiling. Proverbs 23 verse 7 lays it bare. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If deep down you equate wealth with trouble, your subconscious will dodge opportunities to keep you safe in your old, familiar identity. Step 2. Swap a paycheck mentality for a value mentality. A paycheck buys your hours. Value buys solutions. When you think, "I'm trading time," you're chained to the clock. But when you think, "I'm delivering transformation," you unlock bigger prices, broader audiences, and wider doors. Philippians 4 verse 19 seals it. "My God will supply all your needs according to his riches." God isn't capped by your paycheck. Your beliefs are what set the limits. Step 3. Align your words with your faith. Florence called this decreeing. Jesus taught the same. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11 verse 24. Notice the order. You receive it inside first, then it shows up outside. Your tongue is the pen signing off on what your mind believes. If your mind shifts but your mouth keeps spitting fear, you're slamming the brakes on your miracle. Here's a practical 7-day plan to turn your life around. Apply it wisely. Here's how to put it into action, inspired by Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching. 1. Mental audit. For the next 24 hours, jot down every negative thought you have about money. Don't fight them, just notice. Label the pattern: fear, guilt, envy, victim mentality. Get real with what's running the show in your head. 2. Counter-decree on the spot. For every limiting thought, quietly respond with a truth-filled decree. Example: things are tough becomes, through God, I'm flooded with profitable ideas today. Psalm 23, Isaiah 48 verse 17. Speak it like you mean it. 3. Congruent microaction. After decreeing, move. Send that proposal, study a client's needs, renegotiate a deal, or post your portfolio. Faith without action is dead. James 2 verse 17. Take one small step to back up your belief. 4. Complaint fast. 48 hours cut out all sarcasm, broke jokes, and whining. 0. Matthew 12 verse 37 says, by your words, you'll be justified. Clean up your speech to clear the way for breakthroughs. 5. Evidence journal. Write down every sign of progress, a response, a new contact, a fresh idea, an unexpected saving. This trains your brain to spot open doors instead of dead ends. 6. Sow value. Give something useful to someone, an insight, a report, a fix. Seeds grow into harvests. Galatians 6 verse 7. Be generous with your gifts, and watch abundance flow back. 7. 3-minute routine. Morning and night, read your top 3 decrees out loud and picture the outcome as if it's already here. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 18. Feel the shift in your soul as you claim it. 8. Decree suggestions. Tweak them to fit your life. God is my source, and divine ideas enrich me with integrity. I sell solutions, not hours. My value grows every day. I'm open to receiving well for the good I deliver. Favorable doors are opening. I walk with wisdom and discipline. These steps aren't just theory. They're a roadmap to rewire your mind, align your words, and step into the prosperity you're meant for. Start today and watch the shift begin. This plan will be in the video description and pinned comment for you to copy and have on hand. Here are the signs that your turnaround has begun. You lose the urge to complain. Unexpected invitations start popping up. Your language shifts from I need to I create, I deliver, I receive. Florence would say, when your consciousness changes, the universe rearranges the stage. The Bible calls it opening the windows of heaven, Malachi 3 verse 10. It's not just about money, it's about direction, connections, and courage. Remember this cycle: renewed mind, aligned words, bold actions, fresh results. Changing your thoughts without shifting your speech falls flat. Changing your speech without acting is just noise. The vault of abundance unlocks when all 3 work together. If this resonates, declare in the comments, I'm renewing my mind and transforming my finances. Like this to seal your commitment, and join us for the next steps toward prosperity with faith and wisdom. Chapter 3. Abraham in an unknown land. Wealth is born where there is obedience, not comfort. Abraham didn't get rich by lounging in a cozy bubble. Far from it. His prosperity kicked off when God yanked him out of his comfort zone and sent him to a land he didn't even know. Genesis 12 verses 1-2 lays it out. Leave your country, your people, and your father's house, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you a great nation and bless you. Here's the kicker. Prosperity doesn't bloom in comfort, it's born in obedience. Florence Scovel Shinn put it this way: wealth shows up where you align with divine purpose, not where you're kicking back in a plush recliner. How often do we stay stuck in a cycle of lack because we cling to environments that no longer spark growth? Abraham only prospered because he obeyed. He didn't know where he was headed, but he trusted the call. Obedience here is active faith, believing before seeing, stepping out before understanding, planting before harvesting. Here's the irony. The guy who ditched stability became the most prosperous of his time. That flips human logic on its head, but reveals God's logic. Prosperity isn't about controlling every detail, it's about obedient trust. How many of us are trapped in the Egypt of comfort, grumbling about not having enough while too scared to cross the desert toward abundance? Florence taught that every act of faith unlocks an invisible door. When Abraham took steps into the unknown, he turned the spiritual key to multiplication. That key is available to anyone who chooses God's voice over the voice of fear. Practical application. Where are you stuck in a comfort zone that's choking your abundance? Maybe it's a job that doesn't stretch your gifts, a relationship that dims your vision, or a mental loop of phrases like, better safe than sorry. Obeying might feel risky, but staying put is the slow death of your dreams. The Bible drives it home in Deuteronomy 28 verse 2. All these blessings will come on you and overtake you if you obey the voice of the Lord your God. Simple condition: obey. Florence would say, it's not about how much you want, it's about how willing you are to move in faith when the call comes. Want to turn obedience into practical prosperity? You have 3 steps. 1. Listen. Set aside time daily to identify instructions, whether through prayer, meditation, or inspired reading. Many prosperity ideas are answers already trying to reach you. 2. Respond. Don't rationalize to the point of paralysis. The key is to act on the small steps that emerge, even without seeing the whole picture. 3. Evidence recorder. Record signs of progress, no matter how small. This reinforces your faith that compliance brings results. Look at the contrast. Lot, Abraham's nephew, picked the land that looked lush and ended up in the ruin of Sodom. Abraham, by following divine direction, prospered so much that kings took notice of his wealth. This proves appearances don't guarantee success. Obedience is the rock-solid foundation. Maybe you're waiting for stability before you act, but the spiritual order flips that. Act in obedience, and stability follows. Lasting wealth doesn't grow where you're comfortable, it's forged where you're tested and respond with faith. So, let me ask, where do you need to be like Abraham today, stepping out of what's easy to embrace the abundant? Drop in the comments, I choose to obey and prosper. Give this video a like if this message stirred something in you, and subscribe to the channel to keep uncovering, alongside Florence, the secrets to true abundance. Chapter 4. The Mistake of Many. Asking for blessings without preparing space to receive them. So many people pray, plead, and even declare prosperity, yet stay stuck in scarcity. Why? Because they're asking for blessings without clearing space to receive them. It's like expecting rain to fill a jar already stuffed with rocks. Florence Scovel Shinn nailed it. Before the good can manifest, you have to empty out the old. This goes deeper than it sounds, not just asking, but organizing your life so the blessing has a place to land. The Bible gives us a vivid picture in 2 Kings 4 verses 3 to 6. Elisha told the widow to gather empty jars, lots of them, before the oil started flowing. If she'd grabbed just a few, the miracle would have been small. If she'd brought none, there'd be nothing to hold it. The oil only stopped when she ran out of space. That's the perfect metaphor. Abundance is always limited by the container we offer. How many pray for wealth but cling to poverty mindsets? How many crave opportunities but skip the prep, study, discipline, new habits? The problem isn't in the asking, it's in not preparing. It's like expecting a harvest without ever tilling the soil. Florence stressed that the universe responds to creative emptiness. When you clear out what no longer serves, words, relationships, emotions, clutter, even repetitive thoughts, you make room for the new. She warned that saying, I can't, or I don't have enough, is like filling your jar with sand, blocking the flow of abundance's oil. Here's a practical example for you. If you're praying for financial prosperity, ask yourself, is my environment ready for the flow? Are my finances organized to handle more, or would the current chaos block any increase? If you're asking for opportunities, is your mindset open to taking on new responsibilities, or are you still acting like you're not worthy of them? That's the heart of it. Your space has to match the blessing. The Bible spells it out in Isaiah 54 verse 2. Enlarge the place of your tent, stretch your tent curtains wide, do not hold back, lengthen your cords, strengthen your stakes. This command didn't come when Israel was already thriving, it came before. Preparation precedes manifestation. The mistake is waiting for the blessing to show up before getting organized. Florence would say too many people are sitting on tiny chairs expecting grand thrones. Prosperity demands a matching environment. It's not enough to pray for a feast, you've got to build the table and set the plates, trusting the banquet will come. Here's your challenge. Do a cleanup, mental, spiritual, even physical. Write down the phrases you repeat about money and check if they're vessels of abundance or limitation. Look around you. Are there broken, cluttered, or forgotten things? They're a mirror of the inner blocks keeping the new at bay. Prepare like the widow. Gather empty jars. The more space you create, the greater the flow. Here's the truth. The blessing is never the issue. The flow is always available. What defines your abundance is your capacity to make room for it. So, are you asking for blessings with empty vessels or with jars stuffed full of old beliefs? Drop in the comments. I'm preparing space for my abundance. If this message hit home, like this video and subscribe to keep learning the secrets Florence reveals about prosperity. Chapter 5. The Key to Language. Scarcity words keep the door closed. There's a key that opens or locks every door in life. Your words. Florence Scovel Shinn declared that your language is the steering wheel of your destiny. Many blame poverty on a lack of opportunities, but they forget that the words they repeat daily shape the reality they live. Saying, "Things are tough, money never lasts," or "I can't do it," is like locking your life from the inside and tossing the key. The Bible issues the same warning in Proverbs 18 verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Those who love it will eat its fruit. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the invisible soil of the Spirit. Plant seeds of scarcity, and you'll harvest scarcity. There's no magic here, it's a law. Take the Israelites in the desert as a prime example. After escaping Egypt, witnessing miracles, and receiving promises of abundance, they grumbled, "We should have died in Egypt." Numbers 14:2. Their own words became their sentence. They didn't enter the promised land because their mouths had already slammed the door shut. What should have been a short journey turned into 40 years of delay, all because of words rooted in fear, doubt, and lack. Florence pointed out that many pray for abundance with their lips but cancel those prayers with negative words in daily life. It's like flooring the gas pedal while yanking the emergency brake. No progress. When someone says, "I want to prosper, but it's impossible in my situation," they've declared a roadblock. When they claim, "Money never lasts," they've sealed a cycle of repetition. The key is replacement. It's not enough to hush your mouth. You need to circulate new words. Instead of, "I can't," declare, "All things are possible for those who believe," Mark 9 verse 23. Instead of, "There's no way out," say, "The Lord makes a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert," Isaiah 43 verse 19. That's how the door starts to unlock. Florence taught that your mind is like a dark room, and your words are the light switches. Speak light, and you flip on the bulbs. Speak darkness, and you deepen the shadows. Someone who consistently speaks words of abundance with faith begins to align their inner atmosphere, and bit by bit, their outer circumstances follow suit. But heads up, it's not about parroting empty phrases. You've got to speak with conviction, with fire, like you already own it. Your words need to be charged with faith. That's why Jesus said in Mark 11 verse 24, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Your mouth makes the request, but your belief powers the declaration. Take a moment to reflect. What doors have you locked with the words you've been using? How many times have you, without realizing, cursed your own money, health, or relationships? Here's the good news. The same mouth that shuts doors can swing them wide open. You hold the key. Florence used to coach her students to create substitute affirmations. If the thought was, "I'll never have enough money," the response was, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." If the mind whispered, "I'm unlucky," the declaration became, "Divine favor follows me in everything I do." These swaps, when repeated with discipline, could rewire entire mindsets. Try this today. Replace every scarcity-driven phrase with a bold statement of abundance. Write them down, say them out loud, and notice how they shift your thoughts, even your body. You'll feel lighter, more expectant, more hopeful. That's the key turning in the lock. Now, I want to hear from you. What negative phrases do you catch yourself repeating day after day? Drop them in the comments and declare with me, my words open doors to abundance. If this message sparks something in you, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to catch more of Florence's life-changing insights. Chapter 6. Joseph in Prison. Prosperity begins when you decide to flourish in captivity. Here's a truth that stings but sets you free. Prosperity doesn't start when you break out of confinement. It blooms right where it seems there's no way out. Take Joseph, son of Jacob. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, wrongfully accused, and thrown into an Egyptian prison, his fate looked like a dead end to the world. Yet, right there in captivity, he began to unleash the power of abundance. Florence Scovel Shinn put it perfectly. Circumstances don't control a person's life. Their attitude toward them determines the outcome. Joseph is the living proof of this spiritual law. Locked up with no prospects, he refused to sink into bitterness. Instead, he cultivated excellence in everything he did. Even behind bars, he was responsible, faithful, and trustworthy. That's what caught the jailer's eye and, later, Pharaoh himself. Many today are trapped in invisible prisons, debt, dead-end jobs, stifling relationships, or draining environments. The natural urge is to complain, grumble, or give up. But like Joseph, the key is to thrive in barren ground. Prosperity doesn't begin when the doors swing open. It starts when you decide to turn your inner world into a garden, even with walls closing in. The Bible is clear. The Lord was with Joseph, and whatever he did prospered. Genesis 39 verse 23. Notice, this wasn't after he left prison. It was in it. This shows us that prosperity doesn't hinge on your location but on God's presence and your inner stance. Florence drives it home. When you declare yourself a victim, you tighten the chains. But when you proclaim, even in the toughest conditions, I am prosperous, I am guided, my life is flourishing, you ignite a creative force that can reshape your reality. Words are seeds that don't care about fences or walls. Picture Joseph staring at the bars of his cell, yet refusing to let them define him. He didn't say, I'm just a prisoner. He knew he was a son of promise, a carrier of dreams. That's what kept him alive, whole, and ready for a sudden leap to greatness. Here's the deal. If you don't bloom in the prison, you won't bloom in the palace either. Prosperity is tested backstage, far from the spotlight. When Joseph interpreted the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker, he was still forgotten. Yet he used his gift, sowed service, and trusted God with the timing. That's what it means to flourish in captivity. Maybe you're in a season where nothing seems to move. But hear this, your prison could be the fertile ground for your future. It's in the place of testing that you build character, patience, vision, and faith, qualities the palace demands. Florence taught that prosperity is a vibration, not an external condition. When you radiate gratitude, even in chains, the energy of breakthrough starts to stir. Your prison might be physical, financial, or emotional, but it can't hold back a spirit that chooses to thrive. Ask yourself, are you griping about your situation, or are you using this moment to grow? Shift your perspective, and what feels like a delay could be the exact training ground for your big turnaround. So, tell me, what prison do you feel stuck in today, and how can you start blooming right there? Share it in the comments. And if this message hit home, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. You'll help us spread Florence's teachings to more people ready for their breakthrough. Chapter 7. The Secret of Multiplication. Logic divides, faith multiplies. If we relied only on logic, we'd never taste true abundance. Human logic is limited. It adds, subtracts, divides. Faith, on the other hand, expands, overflows, multiplies. Florence Scovel Shinn said, imagination governed by faith is the workshop where miracles are crafted. This means that while the rational mind frets over lack and scarcity, the spiritual mind creates endless possibilities. The Bible shows this vividly in the story of the loaves and fishes. Faced with a hungry crowd, the disciples did the logical math. 5 loaves plus 2 fish, thousands of people equals impossible. But Jesus used heaven's math. Faith plus preemptive gratitude equals abundant multiplication. He didn't focus on what was missing, but on the potential hidden in the little. The result: everyone ate, and there were baskets left over. Logic always divides. It says, if I give, I'll lose. If I share, I'll have less. Faith declares, when I give, I activate the law of abundance, and the flow returns multiplied. Florence doubles down on this, teaching that every word of faith is a seed planted in invisible soil, destined to bear fruit in its time. How many times have you held back out of fear of losing? How many opportunities slipped away because logic shouted louder than trust in God? Joseph in Egypt faced this test too. When he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, he showed that the secret wasn't hoarding out of fear, but managing with wisdom and faith. Logic saw only 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph saw beyond, a divine plan to sustain entire nations. This is what Florence calls vision guided by faith. When you shift your focus from "I don't have" to "all things will be added to me," you make room for God to work multiplication. The universe responds to inner conviction, not to calculations of scarcity. Think about something simple. A farmer doesn't stand frozen, staring at a seed, worrying if it's enough. He plants, trusts, and waits. That's how faith works. When you take steps of trust, even without visible proof, you activate divine math. The little in your hands can become much because you've stopped clinging to logic that limits. Florence reminds us that faith doesn't demand proof, it is the invisible proof of what's coming. This means you might have minimal resources today, but if you treat that little as abundance in motion, you'll see doors open that logic could never unlock. Now, pause and reflect. Where in your life are you still letting logic call the shots? Money, relationships, dreams. What would happen if you applied faith there instead? Logic says you can't. Faith answers, everything is possible for those who believe. I want to hear from you. What situation in your life needs this divine math? Drop it in the comments and share your story. And remember, if this content is shifting how you think about prosperity, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to keep getting Florence's gems and the wisdom of the word. Chapter 8: Florence and the act of declaring. Wealth comes to those who claim it out loud. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the universe doesn't respond to the silence of desire, but to the sound of a declared word. Man can shape his world through his words. What he affirms, he attracts. This truth, though simple, is one of the most powerful keys to prosperity. Declaring isn't just speaking loudly, it's proclaiming with conviction that abundance is already yours, even before it shows up in the physical. The Bible is packed with examples of the power of declaration. Think of David facing Goliath. He didn't just charge into battle. First, he boldly declared, "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands." He spoke victory before living it. That wasn't arrogance, it was faith in action. The word he released became the reality he experienced moments later. That's exactly what Florence shows us. When you declare, you plant seeds in the invisible field. Your mouth is like the plow of your soul, breaking ground for promises to bloom. Merely thinking keeps the energy locked up. Speaking with faith unleashes creative power. But here's the catch: lifeless phrases won't cut it. You've got to declare with a heart brimming with conviction. It's not about magic, it's about aligning your words with faith. Paul wrote in Romans 10 verse 10, "With the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved." The formula is clear. Believe in your heart plus declare out loud equals manifestation in the real world. Many stay trapped because they've gotten used to repeating scarcity-driven phrases. Money doesn't grow on trees. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm just unlucky. These declarations act like self-fulfilling curses. Florence warned that a grumbling mouth slams the door on abundance, while a mouth proclaiming victory opens unlikely paths. Take Joshua as a striking example. Standing at the edge of the promised land, he didn't just believe his people would win. He repeatedly declared, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That affirmation didn't just guide his life, it set the course for an entire generation. He claimed victory with his words before stepping into it physically. Now reflect. What are you declaring about your finances, your family, your dreams? Words are decrees. If you keep saying you're broke or will never prosper, you're signing an invisible contract with scarcity. But if you start proclaiming, I am a channel of prosperity, abundance finds me every day, you're drawing in the right energy. Florence taught that declarations shift the atmosphere around you. She shared stories of people who, by daily speaking faith-filled words, saw debts vanish, job opportunities appear, and businesses thrive without logical explanation. The change didn't start in their wallets, it started with their words. Try this. For 21 days, declare words of wealth and abundance out loud. Not just when you feel like it, but as a spiritual discipline. Watch how your mind rewires, your approach to life shifts, and then how your circumstances begin to respond. So, do you already make a habit of declaring prosperity out loud? Drop a comment with an abundance-filled phrase that will be your decree starting today. And if this content is strengthening your faith, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving Florence's and the Word's life-changing lessons. Chapter 9. The Boast Trap. When looking rich is the shortcut to ruin. Florence Scovel Shinn warned that true prosperity isn't measured by what you flaunt, but by what you build with consciousness and integrity. Many confuse flashiness with wealth. Fancy cars, designer clothes, and sprawling houses might scream success, but they can hide overdue bills, secret debts, and a deep inner void. The appearance of wealth without a solid foundation is like a sandcastle, dazzling to the eye but doomed to crumble at the first financial wave. The Bible flagged this trap thousands of years ago. In 1 Timothy 6 verses 9 to 10, Paul cautions, "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, chasing foolish, harmful desires that plunge them into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." The lesson is crystal clear. Chasing the look of wealth without ethical or spiritual grounding invites trouble, not prosperity. Florence doubled down. Real wealth grows from the inside out. It's not about the car you drive, but the capital of knowledge, discipline, and faith you stack up. Material riches without spiritual maturity are like picking fruit from a tree you never planted. Sooner or later, the natural law catches up. Look at King Solomon as a historical example. Despite unimaginable riches, his focus was on wisdom and serving God. He knew that flash without purpose doesn't sustain lasting abundance. His wealth wasn't in the jewels or palaces, but in a mind strategically primed to generate more through ethics, vision, and faith. Today, many take the opposite path. They crave the image of wealth, so they sacrifice their future, maxing out credit, living on installments, spending more than they create. Florence would call this financial self-deception, proclaiming riches outwardly while their mindset is tangled in scarcity. The Bible, too, shows us people who lost everything by prioritizing appearance over substance. Showing off breeds illusions, envy, and pointless competition. When you obsess over looking successful, you burn energy and money that could fuel real investments or personal growth. Florence teaches that true abundance comes from balancing faith, conscious action, and prosperity declarations, not from chasing others' approval. So, how do you dodge this trap? First, check your motives. Are you buying to impress or to add value to your life? Second, invest in assets that grow, education, businesses, projects that build, not just objects that lose value over time. Third, practice gratitude and declare prosperity, trusting that God provides enough for sustainable growth. Have you ever fallen into the trap of trying to look rich while your finances were crying for help? Share your story in the comments and inspire others to break free from the cycle of appearances. If this content is reshaping your view of wealth, drop a like and subscribe to keep learning from Florence and the Scriptures. Chapter 10. The True Achievement. Wealth as an Eternal Legacy and Not Just Money. Florence Scovel Shinn always reminded us that wealth isn't just a hefty bank account or a luxury car. It's the legacy you leave through actions rooted in faith, integrity, and service to others. So many chase money, hoard possessions, but miss out on creating lasting meaning. The true spiritual millionaire knows money is a tool, not the goal. The Bible backs this up. In Matthew 6 verses 19 to 21, Jesus teaches, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do not destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This makes it clear, real prosperity goes beyond money. It's in the positive impact you make and the seeds you plant for future generations. Florence stressed that material wealth must be managed with consciousness and purpose, multiplying not just financial profit but opportunities, education, life experiences, and social good. Those who pile up riches just for personal gratification get trapped in a cycle of anxiety, fear of loss, and endless competition. But those who see money as a legacy understand every financial choice is a chance to build something timeless. Consider lesser-known biblical figures like Joshua and Deborah. They led nations, protected lands, and built systems of justice and leadership, leaving legacies far beyond material wealth. Their actions show that prosperity is measured by lasting, positive impact, not just instant cash flow. Florence would point out that even in tough times, a mindset aligned with spiritual principles turns challenges into opportunities for conscious wealth building. The secret lies in 3 pillars Florence and the Bible emphasize. First, an abundance mindset, believing prosperity is possible and deserved. Second, conscious, aligned actions that put your resources and talents to work for something greater. Third, gratitude and prosperity declarations, acknowledging God's hand in every win and using wealth as a tool to serve. True wealth isn't selfish, it's expansive, shareable, and enduring. It shows up when you teach, invest, help, and set an example that inspires others to prosper ethically and spiritually. Florence teaches that creating wealth with purpose doesn't just transform you, it uplifts your entire community, sparking a positive cycle of abundance that echoes through time. So, if you want to build lasting wealth, stop measuring success by your bank balance alone. Think about the legacy you're creating, the values, the opportunities you provide, and the integrity behind your achievements. That's real wealth, the kind time can't erase, that nourishes souls and transforms lives. It goes far beyond dollars and possessions. True prosperity is born from faith, conscious action, and gratitude, strengthened when aligned with spiritual principles, and endures as an eternal legacy. Florence Scovel Shinn reminds us that prosperity is both a blessing and a responsibility, and the Bible confirms, the greatest treasure is the one that transforms lives. It's not just about getting rich, it's about enriching with purpose, uplifting your family, your community, and future generations. If you grasp this, you'll step out of the crowd's empty race and build lasting, conscious, just, and divine abundance. Do what needs to be done. Now you're ready to see your wealth in a new light, to view every achievement as a chance to leave an eternal legacy. Drop a comment below sharing what you believe you can pass on as a legacy beyond money. If this content brought you clarity, give it a like and subscribe to the channel to keep learning from Florence Scovel Shinn and biblical teachings on abundance and prosperity. See you in the next video.